unhappy, sad, not glad. She was very unhappy with their decision. He was a little unhappy with the results. He was equally unhappy with the second choice. She is unhappy. He is becoming unhappy with his boss. She remained unhappy for the rest of her life. She makes him so unhappy. He was very unhappy with their choice. He is an unhappy customer. She is in an unhappy marriage. He's had an unhappy life.
Wild. Out of control, not tamed by humans. Her child is very wild. She is a little too wild for him. His hair is absolutely wild. That child is very wild. Animals roam wild in the forest. Fans went wild when they saw the movie star. Her boyfriend was wild with jealousy.
Winter, the season between autumn, fall, and spring. It was very cold last winter. More snow is expected next winter. It was a long winter. We had a bad winter. I am looking forward to a mild winter. We can expect snow in late winter. I don't enjoy winter conditions. Students can't wait until winter break. My garden does not do well in winter snow. I need to get out my winter coat. I look forward to watching winter sports on television. We go somewhere warm for the winter.
Absolutely. Completely or totally. That is absolutely amazing. That picture is absolutely gorgeous. The little puppy is absolutely adorable. Your dress is absolutely beautiful. The trash was absolutely disgusting. His performance was absolutely marvelous. I absolutely love your outfit. I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely guarantee it. Acceptable. Good enough. Approved by most of a group or society. That idea is acceptable. I find your report acceptable. Her work has become acceptable to her manager. Your work is perfectly acceptable. What you are doing is not culturally acceptable.
Adult. A fully grown person or animal. Young adults are difficult to understand. There was a group for single adults. Responsible adults do not drink and drive. Our colleges have programs for adult education. The adult population is growing rapidly. Adult men should be more responsible.
Aggressive. Behaving in a threatening way, ready to fight or attack. That criminal looks aggressive. Certain medications can make people aggressive. The boxer is extremely aggressive. She became increasingly aggressive. My cat is aggressive toward my dog.
Airline. Company that flies airplanes. He works for a private airline. The airline operates all over the country. I work in the airline industry. I am unhappy with airline service. He is an airline pilot. Airline tickets have increased. All airline flights have been canceled. I need to make an airline reservation.
Apart. Not together, separate. The ice began to break apart. We decided to live apart. I couldn't pull the pieces apart. My daughter had to sit apart from her friend. My son likes to take things apart and put them back together. The twins were born 2 minutes apart. The police demanded that he spread his feet apart.
Assure. To tell someone that something is absolutely true or is definitely going to happen. Can you assure success? She tried to assure me that she knew what she was doing. Can you assure the safety of your passengers? How can you assure the success of your business to potential investors? I assure you the project will be completed on time. He assured us that we would be safe during the flood. The captain assured his passengers that the ship was safe to ride. The player assured everyone of his loyalty to his team. The company assures that the product is safe for children.
Attract. To be interested or to like someone or something. He used funny words to attract the attention of young kids. The low price attracted the buyer to the house. She attracted the audience with her humor. Sale prices attract customers to the store. The new amusement park attracted visitors to the city. The food was attracting ants to our picnic. I am not attracted to him at all. She tends to attract the wrong type of guy. I want to attract the right buyer for our store.
Bag. A container made of paper, plastic, or fabric. This bag is too heavy. I have a plastic bag. We'll put the food in a freezer bag. I am bringing a carry-on bag onto the airplane. We should pack an overnight bag. Where's my school bag? The food is in a lunch bag. The dead person was put into a body bag. We put the present in a gift bag. She always camps with a sleeping bag. The postman carries a mail bag. She was unloading the grocery bags. I can't open my bag. She is packing her bag. He quickly stuffed everything into his bag. May I carry your bag? You'll need to check your bags at the airport. The police searched our bags. This bag contains my homework. The gifts are in the bag.
Battle. A fight or competition. The armies fought a bloody battle. We learned about many epic battles in history class. She fought in the naval battle. They're preparing for the coming battle. The politicians waged a bitter battle for president. My brother and I have an ongoing battle for the front seat of the car. She's fighting a losing battle with cancer. Did you fight in the battle? They won the battle. They've waged battle many times. The general sent soldiers into battle. Few people survived the battle. The battle will take place at dawn. The lawyer fought a battle with the insurance company. The battle raged on for years.
Battle. To fight or compete. The warriors battled ferociously. We battled in vain for reform. We will go to battle against this country. They have battled through many medical problems.
Bed. Furniture for sleeping on, a place where flowers grow. I sleep on a single bed. We have a comfortable bed for our guests. The hotel bed was very hard. There was an empty bed in the spare room. We are building a flower bed. I usually make my bed before going to work. I want to crawl into bed. She jumped out of bed on Christmas morning. The baby got out of bed by himself. I put my daughter to bed at 8 o'clock. She likes me to tuck her into bed before she sleeps. I lie in bed for hours before I fall asleep. On vacations, we had to share a bed. I sleep on a queen-sized bed. Can you get some new bed sheets? I like reading in bed. Get out of bed already. What a beautiful bed of roses. Bill. A piece of paper that shows how much money is owed for products or services. Paper money. An idea for a new law. We received a huge bill for the car repairs. My phone company sent me an outstanding bill. After the accident, her medical bills were huge. May I have an itemized bill of our hotel charges? She can't afford her hotel bill. The machine only takes $1 bills. The new budget bill should be passed soon. The proposed bill will create jobs. We received the bill in the mail. I had to pay the bill since no one else had any money. When we go out, we usually share the bill. The hotel sent me a bill for the broken items. We ran up a large hotel bill. Shorter showers will cut our water bill. I asked for the bill. The bill came before dessert. He is drafting a bill for Congress. They are debating the bill. He thinks the bill will be blocked. She opposed the new bill. Who is going to pay the bill for car damages? When was your last bill payment? He keeps getting calls from a bill collector.
Boring. Not interesting. The movie looks boring. His lectures make class boring. He thinks reading is boring. I find this to be boring. The book was extremely boring. The show will be boring for children.
Bother. Trouble or annoyance. I don't want to be a bother, but could you help me? Please do not go to any bother just for me. Cleaning the house would save me the bother. He is becoming a bother to many people. Helping you is not a bother to me.
Bother. To trouble or annoy. My head is really bothering me today. Lying bothers my conscience. Stop bothering me. He keeps bothering his older sister. You are bothering me. Go away. He always bothers people. Brief. A short report or outline. He gave a detailed brief. We heard the story during the news brief. He is preparing his legal brief for the court. She is preparing her brief. The details in the brief are very important. This brief is on the annual budget.
Brief. To give someone information. The president was fully briefed on the situation. They will brief us on the new policy.
Brief. Lasting a short amount of time. This meeting will be brief. Please keep your questions brief. Our vacation was extremely brief. Today's meeting was relatively brief. We were given a brief account of what happened. He made a brief appearance on the show. She had a brief career in singing. They had a brief discussion about politics. They started the show after a brief introduction. She gave a brief outline on the issue. They had a brief relationship. For a brief moment, I thought I was having a dream.
Cake. A baked dessert. Is that a homemade cake? This cake is moist. He is making carrot cake. We saved you some birthday cake. Let's eat cake. We are baking a cake. You can cut the cake. Please clean up the cake crumbs. May I have your cake recipe? We need to buy some cake mix. I need a cake pan. I bought it from a cake shop.
Charity. A place that provides money, food, or help for those in need. I want to volunteer with a local charity. What is your favorite charity? I should donate money to charity. She runs a small charity from her home. All sales will go to charity. He's too proud to accept charity. Our office is hosting a charity drive. Thank you for all of your charity work. Sometimes charity workers have to go to dangerous places. We are raising money for charity. Code. A system of letters, numbers, or symbols used to store or send information secretly or in a shorter form. Rules for behavior. The spy used a secret code. Do you know Morse code? What is your area code? Do you know the building's security code? The store products have barcodes. We follow a strict code. This school has a dress code. You must obey the civil code. The CIA couldn't break the code. They use a code to send messages. She writes computer codes. He didn't obey the code of conduct. You have violated our code. You can't enter without the code word. The soldiers all had code names. She's a military code breaker.
Cousin. The child of an aunt or uncle. She is my first cousin. My baby cousin is 10 years old. I have 5 female cousins. How many cousins do you have? Is she your cousin? You look like your cousin. He's my cousin on my mom's side. She is my cousin.
Crazy. Wild. Insane. Very angry. She is crazy. He will go crazy if he sees his ex-girlfriend with another man. She drives him crazy. This party is really crazy. The man is absolutely crazy. I am a little crazy. The girl was half crazy. I had a crazy dream. That is a crazy story. The crazy person escaped from jail.
Curve. A bend in a line or surface. That stick has a slight curve. The road has a sharp curve. They arranged the meeting chairs to form a large curve. Follow the curve of the road and you will see our house. Trace the curve on a piece of paper. The doctor looked at the curve of his back. The bus went around the curve. Take a right at the curve. Designer. Someone who creates how something is made or built. She is a good designer. Our lead designer will supervise the project. The young designer has talent. She is a famous designer. He is a dress designer. We are going to hire an interior designer.
Designer. Having a famous brand name. Made by a famous designer. She only buys designer clothes. Dimension. The measurements of an object. The way of thinking about something. I need the exact dimensions of the kitchen cabinets. Do you know the approximate dimensions of the room? The bookcase has compact dimensions. The physical dimension is hard to see. He brought added dimension to the subject. Her ideas bring crucial dimension to the project. Their perspective brings a global dimension to the issue. Her comment revealed a cultural dimension. Can you check the dimensions for me? They've added a new dimension. We have a different dimension on the issue. The project has taken on a new dimension. She brings added dimension to the project.
Disaster. A terrible event or situation. The city suffered an awful disaster. It was the worst disaster in history. This project could be a possible disaster. We are not ready for future disasters. The unforeseen disaster surprised us. It became a global disaster. An earthquake is a natural disaster. We are not prepared for a flood disaster. It was the biggest human disaster. They've called it an economic disaster. The hurricane was a costly disaster. The party was an absolute disaster. His company was a business disaster. We don't know what caused the disaster. How can we avoid disaster? The police didn't anticipate the disaster. The ship is heading for disaster. People have a hard time facing disaster. The city experienced a disaster. The family has handled disaster. The battle ended in disaster. Disaster can happen without warning. The dinner turned out to be a disaster. Stay out of the disaster area. The charity organization will send disaster aid. Follow the disaster plan. He works in disaster management. Our group has a disaster fund. She is a disaster victim. It's important to ask for help in a disaster. The party was a disaster for the host. Distinct. Very clear. Very different. The pattern is distinct. This picture is very distinct. This animal is genetically distinct. This fossil is quite distinct from others. He has a distinct advantage. The car has a distinct feature. The boy felt a distinct feeling. Their customer service is the distinct difference.
Distribute. To give out. To supply to businesses for sale. The supplies were equally distributed. The books will be distributed internationally. The charity will distribute the money among the poor countries. The company will distribute paychecks by mail. They will distribute the copies at the meeting. Try to distribute the workload equally. The production company will distribute the film globally.
Dress. A one-piece item of women's clothing that covers the body from the shoulders to the legs. Male or female clothing. What a beautiful dress! She is wearing a knee-length dress. She wore a skin-tight dress. She spilled her drink on her cotton dress. We need to buy a cocktail dress. Everyone was in formal dress. Can you help me unzip my dress? Do these shoes go with this dress? Try not to rip your dress. I bought it in a dress shop. She is a famous dress designer. What is your dress size? What is the dress code? Where is your dress coat? She showed up in a fancy dress.
Dress. To put clothes on. She quickly dressed her baby. She dressed beautifully for the occasion. Her neighbor dresses badly. Please dress appropriately for the interview. I wish she would dress decently around my parents. The mother and daughter dress similarly. Please dress professionally for this job. Her child was dressed as a clown. My son likes to dress like a pirate. They are all dressed in black.
Ease. Having no difficulty. The feeling of having no worries or problems. Despite only studying English for 2 years, she spoke with surprising ease. She passed the exam with great ease. Instructions were given to her for ease of understanding. Instructions were given to her for ease in understanding. She got a perfect score with ease.
Ease. To make something less serious or difficult. To make something less painful. To move something or someone carefully. His fear of heights gradually eased as he stood at the top of the mountain. Putting something on the cut should greatly ease the bleeding. The hikers eased down the steep hill. She eased slowly off the chair. This cream should help to ease the itching. My teacher tried to ease my fears about speaking English. My worries about school began to ease once I got there. This medicine eases the pain. Her friend's kind words eased her anxiety. Getting a cat helped ease her loneliness. The view from the tower helped ease her fear of heights. I eased away from the snake so I wouldn't surprise it. He eased into his seat.
Eastern. Located in the east or in the direction of where the sun rises. Related to Asia. The house was on the eastern shore. Eastern philosophy comes from Asia. He lives close to the eastern front of the Rocky Mountains. They live in an eastern county. It is located in the eastern part of the country. He is studying Eastern medicine. We were hit with the eastern wind. Editor. Someone who manages a newspaper or magazine. Someone who prepares texts, video, or radio for publication. I got a job as a copy editor. I am the managing editor of the newspaper. She works as a newspaper editor. Can you help the news editor tomorrow? He is an editor of a major newspaper. The editor cut my article. My editor gave me a deadline.
Efficiency. The ability to do something without wasting time, energy, or money. This arrangement allows us to work at peak efficiency. The overall efficiency of the workers is high. The business loses money because of low efficiency. After a few tries, the workers could complete the task with increased efficiency. The cost efficiency of this project is important. We have to work hard to achieve maximum efficiency. The new machines increased efficiency in the factory. The broken machine reduced efficiency. The managers want to measure the efficiency in the factory. These efficiency standards need to be maintained. The project was completed with great efficiency.
Emergency. A serious or dangerous situation. A last-minute response. A house fire is a serious emergency. In a life-threatening emergency, you should call 911. She missed work because of a sudden emergency. They declared a local emergency after the hurricane. He missed the test because of a medical emergency. He had a family emergency and needed to leave early. Firefighters have to deal with many emergencies. The Red Cross is helping with the emergency. The President declared an emergency after the hurricane. A heart attack is a medical emergency. Call 911 when an emergency happens. Call 911 in an emergency situation. The emergency response happened quickly. After the hurricane, police put the emergency plan into effect. Police, fire, and medical are types of emergency services. They called an emergency meeting to deal with the crisis. Emergency supplies have been sent to the disaster zone. They need a lot of emergency assistance to deal with the crisis. They had to make an emergency evacuation when the alarm went off. Put your emergency kit where it can be easily found. She went to the emergency room when she burned her hand. The Red Cross has opened an emergency shelter for the victims. The airplane had to make an emergency landing. The emergency exits should be marked. We have to evacuate the building in an emergency.
Escape. The act of getting away from or avoiding someone or something. The attempted escape of 3 prisoners was on the news. He made a daring escape from his kidnappers. Their escape plan was really easy. Her close escape from the burning house affected her for years. The vacation was a welcome escape from their stressful jobs. He made his escape through the back door. A big dog blocked his escape. The darkness allowed an easy escape. He planned his escape from the event. They found an escape from studying for the night. This movie offers an escape from the real world. Their escape attempt failed. A big tree blocked the escape route. They had a foolproof escape plan. They used the escape tunnel to flee the building. The escape vehicle was waiting by the door. He escaped from his attackers.
Escape. To get away from someone or something. To get out. They barely escaped the hurricane. My cat somehow escaped from its crate. He successfully escaped from the sinking boat. The princess finally escaped from the tower. The dog easily escaped from the yard. The lion cannot escape from the cage. The lizard attempted to escape being seen. She struggled to escape from the unpleasant conversation. He hopes to escape on a tropical vacation. He managed to escape having to stay late at work. He got in trouble for letting the robbers escape. They escaped from an avalanche safely. The deer escaped into the woods. They escaped to a safe place. The thieves escaped with many valuable paintings. He escaped the room without being noticed. She barely escaped death in the earthquake. He managed to escape blame for the accident. They escaped arrest for the crime. You can't escape fate.
Evening. The part of the day after the late afternoon, an event that takes place in the evening. We are going to the movies tomorrow evening. We had dinner with my parents yesterday evening. It's such a beautiful summer evening. There are long evenings in the winter. They spent a quiet evening at home. It's such a warm evening. Many animals came out in the early evening. Can we meet tomorrow? I'm busy the next evening. He spent the entire evening doing homework. We had an enjoyable evening at a concert. We spent the evening watching a movie. They started their evening with dinner. I enjoy a quiet evening at home. The bad weather spoiled their evening. As the evening wore on, he found it harder to stay awake. They opened the evening with some music. We were enjoying the evening moon. The evening light was beautiful. They went for an evening walk around the lake. He has to work the evening shift today. I am taking an evening class. An accident affected the evening rush hour. The story was on the evening news. I bought a new evening gown for the opera. I'm busy in the evening. We dressed up for our evening out. We can meet on Friday evening. It's scheduled for the evening of May 12th.
Excitement, great happiness or enthusiasm. There was great excitement about the new movie. She found real excitement in her research. After the initial excitement, he quickly became bored. There is growing excitement about the new restaurant. She has a childlike excitement about visiting Disneyland. The room was full of nervous excitement before the announcement. She was filled with excitement about her date. He felt a lot of excitement during the game. The announcement created a lot of excitement among the students. They couldn't hide their excitement about the trip. Excitement filled the room as the winner was announced. After the announcement, the excitement quickly died down. She enjoys the excitement of traveling to new places. The contest caused a lot of excitement among students. She screamed with excitement. The level of excitement in the room was very high.
Expose. Make visible, to show the truth. To subject something or someone to risk. He completely exposed his secrets to the world. This project clearly exposes her weaknesses. They publicly exposed his crimes. People are constantly exposed to UV rays. She was directly exposed to radiation from the leak. The newspaper exposed the identity of the spy. They are working to expose corruption in the government. The investigation exposed the hoax. The interview exposed his ignorance. He exposed a scandal involving the president. They are trying to expose the truth.
Extension. Extra time. A part that is added to something else. The teacher granted a longer extension on the project. They gave the star player a contract extension. This policy is a further extension of government power. He asked for a project extension. We requested an extension of the agreement. They are negotiating a contract extension. She received an extension on her paper. The professor gave the class an extension on the assignment.
Extent. The size, importance, or seriousness of something. The full extent of the damage is unknown. They pushed the technology to its maximum extent. They are examining the extent of the changes. The Red Cross is assessing the extent of the disaster. He needs to determine the extent of the problem. We do not yet know the extent of the damages. This example illustrates the extent of the findings. They tried to exaggerate the extent of their losses. He tried to conceal the extent of the problem. He relied on his family to a great extent.
Farm. A large piece of land used for growing crops and raising animals. He owns a large farm. We bought the apples from a local farm. He will take over the family farm. They visited a traditional farm. The students toured a pig farm. They own a small farm. He manages a pig farm. They are trying to start an organic farm. She lives on her family's farm. He will inherit the family farm. The students visited a local farm. Their farm is located outside Chicago. This farm grows a lot of corn. He sells his farm products at the market each week. The children had never seen farm animals before. She does a lot of farm work before school every day. We toured the farm buildings. Be careful around farm machinery. They want to increase farm subsidies. Farm production was down this year. They learned about farm life on the field trip. We drove through a lot of farm country today. She lived on a farm her whole life. The cow escaped from a nearby farm. They saw cattle at a local farm.
Farm. To grow crops or raise animals. More people are farming organically these days. They farm salmon along the shore. The family has been farming these lands for many years.
Feedback. Helpful comments about someone or something. He gave me a lot of helpful feedback. So far, we've received nothing but positive feedback. She always provides honest feedback. He received some really critical feedback on his proposal. Getting immediate feedback can be very useful. My teacher never offers verbal feedback. They are analyzing student feedback. She always gives good feedback. We received a lot of negative feedback about the story. She is trying to collect feedback on the new policy. He is constantly asking for feedback on his work. I appreciated her feedback. She gave me some feedback on my paper. We have received a lot of feedback about the story. She provides relevant feedback to her students.
Fight. A struggle or battle between people using physical force. An organized boxing or martial arts competition. An argument. He got into a big fight with another kid. He likes to watch a good fight. It was a fair fight. He was injured in a bar fight. He was challenged to a sword fight. They got into a food fight. They watched the championship fight. He's putting up a good fight against cancer. It has been a hard fight to get the policy changed. They are in a bitter fight over wages. It has become a desperate fight. The legal fight has finally ended. She got into a huge fight with her mother. I tried to find out who started the fight. He is always looking for a fight. The teacher stopped the fight. He was in a fight yesterday. He won the fight. They watched the big fight. A fight broke out in the lunchroom. They are putting up a fight over tuition increases. She joined the fight against cancer. He faces a tough fight if he wants to get elected. She will continue her fight against the disease. They gave up their fight for justice. They get into a fight on a daily basis. Something silly caused a huge fight. They are filming a big fight sequence. He is a huge fight fan. His nose was broken in a fight. They got into a fight over the game. There was a fight between fans of the rival teams. He got into a fight with his brother. He gave up without a fight. This is a new stage in his fight against cancer. They will continue their fight for justice.
Fight. To engage in a battle or war. To take part in a physical struggle or confrontation. To try to change something. The army fought bravely. They fought bitterly but lost the battle. They try to fight back the enemy. They successfully fought to reopen the local library. He fought hard for the recognition he deserved. They fight constantly. They continued to fight despite being outnumbered. They were ready to fight against the enemy. They are fighting for new standards. They fought with swords. They fight often about money. Gap. A space between things, a period of time, difference, where something is missing. There is a huge gap under the door. She has a narrow gap between her front teeth. There was a long gap in between his two jobs. There was an awkward gap in the middle of our conversation. There is a big gap between the two runners in the race. There seems to be a growing gap between the two generations. They are trying to address the current cultural gap. We are discussing the current income gap. Make sure you leave a gap for the window trim. We need to seal the gap around the door. Can you find something to span the gap? As they got closer, a gap appeared between the rocks. A gap in the traffic finally opened up. They are trying to bridge the gap in the different learning levels. The gap between the rich and poor is widening. Her departure left a gap in the organization. Let me know when you see any gaps in the plan. They slipped through a gap in the fence. Leave a small gap between each piece. She wants to fill the gap in her schedule. She returned to the workforce after a long gap.
Gather. To come together in a group. To bring people or things together. To increase. They quickly gathered to make a decision. Everyone gathered around. She carefully gathered the necessary items. She gathered the people together. The train rapidly gathered speed. Her plan started to gather momentum. They gathered around the fire. They are gathering for a meeting. A crowd gathered around the stage. Demonstrators gathered in front of City Hall. She gathered her bags and got off the train. He gathered his composure and continued to speak. They gathered the harvest and stored it in the barn. We need to gather wood for a fire. They are still gathering evidence in the case. Her ideas are gathering a following. The runner began to gather speed. They are gathering data from their project.
Grade. Level or quality. Level of importance. Mark given for schoolwork. Level in school. This is high-grade material. This pay grade will receive a bonus. I'm waiting for my final grades. She always gets good grades. His parents were angry about his bad grades. I need to get a passing grade in this class to graduate. He will be in first grade next year. She always gets high grades. I received a good grade on my final report. He's trying to improve his grades. This teacher rarely gives high grades. He is entering third grade. She teaches fifth grade. He skipped fourth grade. He has poor reading skills for his grade level. She works at a grade school. He is in the 8th grade.
Grade. To arrange in groups. To give a score on schoolwork. The materials have been carefully graded for lower-level learners. He always grades fairly. The books are graded according to difficulty. The gems are graded by weight. He spent last night grading homework.
Guitar, a musical instrument with strings that is played with the fingers. He practices his acoustic guitar. She plays lead guitar. He's learning to play a slide guitar. They laughed at his air guitar performance. She sang and strummed her guitar. I need to tune my guitar. He plays the guitar really well. He broke a guitar string. Does anyone have an extra guitar pick? She plugged in the guitar amp. He's learning a new guitar chord. He provided guitar accompaniment. I need a new guitar case.